Welcome back to We Needed Roads, the podcast that definitely should not be moving to Derry. And yet here we are with a surprising follow-up to Derry Girls that no one was expecting, as Pennywise the Clown turns up in Northern Ireland in the late 90s during the Troubles, where a plucky group of 4 girls and a wee English lad have to stop the evil clown. Oh no, wait. That's not the show, is it?
I'd watch that version, though.
I would watch that
does
as well.
sound fun.
I could just see, Erin, all the girls just beating up Pennywise. James running off.
Why is he talking like that? Oh, he's just a Pennywise. That's a terrible Irish
I'm not
accent.
even going to. Yeah, you were a brave man to even try that, Luke.
I know.
Insult all of Ireland.
Luke, it was a running joke in the early days of the pod that we couldn't pronounce anything connected with Ireland. Barry Keoghan, Barry Cohen, could not get it right. And David used to work with someone from Ireland who would just tell us how to pronounce it phonetically and right. And we'd always get it wrong still. And one day she just sent us a voice note telling us how to do it, which we played in the episode.
Yeah, good old Pam. Wonder if she's still listening.
Pam, if you're listening, leave us a comment. Probably not. No.
Sorry, Pam, for my terrible accent.
So this is a sequel, prequel, whatever it is, series to Andy Muschietta's 2 It films from a few years ago, which were generally quite well received. So join me, David and Luke, as we take a trip to Derry and look at the good, the bad, and the multiple what the fuck moments from It, Welcome to Derry. Grab your red balloon, avoid storm drains, and join us as we head back to the most cursed town in Maine. Right, gentlemen, first, the good. Luke, first good thing you liked about the show?
All of it. Sorry.
Cool. Moving on. David.
Okay, I will say I loved how they fleshed out Pennywise, his lore and his story, and I loved how they've kept him, kind of like Jaws, how you mentioned previously, like in the background a lot until maybe the last half. Like, what episode roughly did he become way more prevalent? It was quite late on in the show where he becomes a lot more prevalent.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I liked that they didn't just go heavy on Pennywise straight away.
The really nice clown, who the kids just seeing the juxtaposition of him coming out and doing his crazy dance, and people not being terrified and actually loving it. I was like,
And I liked that Dick Halloran is in it.
Yeah.
Straight from early, and I'm like, it's Dick! It's Halloran! That's cool from the Shining! I was like, oh my gosh!
I didn't realise that until the line about the hotel at the end. I thought, wait, what's that in reference to?
You didn't get the Shining?
I didn't know none
of
it. I missed it all.
You just thought this guy was just real on it with the... You just thought he had...
It just shows how powerful The Shining is and how you didn't properly get to see it in The Shining, but how powerful that thing... He took Pennywise on, slapped the bitch twice, and he was shocked. He was like, maybe I am Bob Gray.
But I mean, I think you're right, David. I think this is Bill Skarsgård's best work as Pennywise in this.
Yes.
Better than the films.
He needs an award. All the awards. He's really good in this. Like how he chameleons into... He plays so many different roles, but it's just brilliant. It's just like... Yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again. This show makes the movies better. And I would actually go as far and say that the show is better than It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 just because of Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise. And like you said, David, he's like Jaws. When I started watching this show, I didn't want Pennywise straight away because I felt like it's not as fun. And they took the time to build up the tension, build up the panic. Like each episode, I'm like, because they did it in the intro. If you listen to the intro music, as the episodes went on, as they were building up to Pennywise, the music got sinister. There was undertones of very sinister music in the background, like a smile is something special, which was very light. Then the back was getting really dark, like a very sort of noise. And as the episodes crept up where Pennywise eventually appeared, it was a build-up. So you knew something was coming. It was a gradual sort of, oh my God, here he comes. And when he appears, you're like, oh, there he is. And it was just... it's like when you first see him, it was like, hiya, Georgie. And you're like, there he is. And it was just I watched it proper cinema mode. Turn the lights off. Watched in darkness on my own. I'm just like this. I love horror. So I'm just like, this is great. And then Dick appears. And I'm like, oh my god, Shining. Oh
This is me.
Shawshank Redemption. Oh my god.
Oh, me and Luke are the exact same.
And then I'm just sitting there going, and obviously being a big fan of Stephen King, I was just getting the references one after the other. I was just like, this is great. This is great. And
it's
it
like
makes
crack.
me want. It was crack for me basically. This show was made for me. It was a show I didn't know I needed. After the disappointment of so many shows this year, like Peacemaker.
And like Castle Rock as well, I suppose, which was the attempt at trying to do the
Castle
King
Rock, which was again brilliant, but nobody watched it, But again, like watching this and seeing Dick Halloran, I'm like, I want a Dick Halloran show. I want him to go on adventures and do other things.
The Adventures of Dick.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
What trouble's Dick going to get into this episode?
Oh, the award. I can't remember his name. I wish I remember his name, but the guy that played Dick Halloran,
Chris Chalk.
He deserves loads of awards because he plays the character so well. And you just think, I want to see more of him. I don't want his fate just to be, he's going to go to the Overlook Hotel and die now. I'm like, no. I want to see a bit more of him.
He might not, because if they go along with the book version of The Shining, he doesn't die.
Yeah.
It was only Kubrick who was like,
It was funny where he's like, I love the bit at the end. I know
that was my favourite line.
Where he was just like, I've got a friend who works in hotel business. How hard can the hotel business be? And I'm sitting there, I'm getting flashbacks of Kubrick. I'm like, really hard.
But he says London, doesn't he? He goes, I got a friend in London.
Yeah.
So he'd be in England. So again, there's a bunch of adventures.
I do want more, and I do hope that Andy Muschietti, after the success of this show, is like, you know what? Let's do a spin-off show with Dick Halloran, and they could keep it in the Stephen King universe, or do completely new lore where they bring in like the vampires from
Salem's Lot.
They bring back Father Callahan from Salem's Lot. Bring in the Dark Tower, maybe a bit of that with
I'd keep that separate. I think that's going to be Flanagan's next 10 years of his career, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. But I just feel like it would be great just to bring in a bit more of the kingness. That's not just Pennywise. Be like, look, there are people out there who shine.
Me and David discussed this when we did our very first ever episode of the We Need Rose podcast. It was The Shining versus Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
I thought Doctor Sleep was better. David thought The Shining was better. And then we both agreed they're both brilliant films.
Yeah.
But The Shining's better.
But Doctor Sleep better. But I wanted to see a prequel film with Rebecca Ferguson's character, because it's Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know more about those.
Rose the Hat. Was it Rose the Hat?
Rose the Hat, yeah. What a character!
They could do more of that if they did a Dick series, So I just
Dick could turn up in it. Was Dick in Doctor Sleep?
Yes, he was. He's played by a different actor though.
That was it, yeah.
But this is
Everyone loves Dick.
I know we're meant to talk about Welcome to Derry, but it's just what really sold it for me was just the fact of how he was able to subdue Pennywise, which is meant to be a god, space god, and literally makes him question everything of like, oh, okay, maybe I am Bob Gray, maybe I'm not, maybe it was all a dream. And so to me, that's brilliant. That's power.
Well, that's what I liked, is that it was only kind of hinted at in the movie. Was like, he's kind of the whole thing with the deadlights and like, and this show did such a better job of explaining the lore behind it. The whole thing with the pillars was brilliant, and again, in a lot of King's books, there's a lot of stuff to do with Native Americanisms as well.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favourite King books that has been made terribly was Desperation, and that was really deep down all to do with like crimes against the Native Americans. And it was an amazing book, and then they made such a shit film out of it. Yeah. And I was so excited because they cast Ron Perlman, Hellboy himself, as the main like possessed cop character. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. And it wasn't. It was so bad.
It's the same with Pet Sematary. It's like in the books, it's really fully native. But then when you get to the movies, it's like, no, they're going to...
I hated that remake so much. They changed the fucking ending.
I've not read Pet Sematary, and I know the ending of it. Like, that's how like iconic it is, like
if you look at it, it's basically the monkey's paw. Like, they make the wish and then the thing comes back, and but it's not come back good, and then your last wish is for it to go away again.
Darling, right?
It's just I think there's a knock at the door, and just like Pet Sematary is one of his best books of all time, and they've never even come close to doing it. You need to do Pet Sematary like not a horror film. You do it as a drama with top tier actors. Play it completely straight.
HBO drama.
You know who'd be perfect to do it, David? If he ever wanted to step back into the horror arena, your boy, Ari Aster.
Oh yeah. Mm.
So I'm more of a Dead Zone fan. In my opinion, Dead Zone's his best book that I've read.
I also really enjoyed the Tommy Knockers, which is a bizarre one.
Yeah,
I've not actually read any Stephen King in my life.
I've
read, actually, that's a lie. I read half of it. I got literally to the halfway point of it, and then stopped for some reason. I don't know why I stopped reading that book.
To be honest, I listened to the audiobook. It took me forever to finish that book, so I wasn't going to read it because I knew it was going to take me too long. So I listened to the audiobook, and that book is brilliant. It's not a book you can listen to out loud.
I do have a bunch of King books behind me that I want to read. So I've got Misery, I've got Pet Sematary, I've got 11/22/63.
That was good.
I've got a bunch of them that I want to read.
I've got The Talisman by him and Paul Shrub to read next. So
I've got to buy, actually, as soon as it comes down in price a little bit, his son, Joe Hill's new book, King Sorrow. That sounds amazing as well. But we should probably get back to Welcome to Derry rather than just...
What Luke mentioned it briefly, but the opening title sequence.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's in the good for me.
Oh, yeah.
It was not a skippable one. I was like, with each time I looked at it, I was looking for other little details in all the background.
Who would have thought this year, when we had Season 2 of Peacemaker came out... Sorry, last year, when Season 2 of Peacemaker came out, that wasn't going to be the best opening title sequence, because it wasn't, because they changed the song, it wasn't as good, and then Welcome to Derry's title sequence, which we didn't get in episode 1, did we? No. I think it's only from episode 2. It was so fucked up and scary and brilliant and happy.
I will happily admit, and I'm not embarrassed to say, every time it come on, I'd do a little dance. I'd be like, I'm ready, he's coming, My little nerdy sort of horror fan. I'm like, and especially when I said about the horror tones in the intro music, where you can say, oh, it's building up to Pennywise coming. So I was just like, he's here, and then he appears in like little bits, but you don't actually see him, but he's there because he's always there. He's always got an effect on the town. He's like, oh, here he comes, So, and one thing I love as well, what they did with the character. I know we'll probably do individual episode, but one thing I love what they do with the character is that everybody takes the piss out of it chapter 2 because they beat him by calling him names. But what you've got to remember, and this is what I love about this show, because it really fortifies the idea of why he is the way he is. He's been trapped there for centuries, right? He's never been able to leave Derry, and he's omnipresent, so he knows that the losers are going to defeat him no matter what. So he knows he's trapped. So every time he says, "I'm a god, I'm an eater of worlds," you can tell there's a bit of a crick in his voice with the fact of every time he says it, he's like, "I am a god, but I'm stuck here." So he knows he's going to die. So he's full of ego. So when he realizes that no matter what he does, the loser's going to defeat him, when they do defeat him, it's the fact of it makes sense because he's trapped there. So when he gets a chance to leave and he goes, later losers, he's not just saying goodbye to the kids, he's saying goodbye to the losers club. Like, I'm free, finally. I am going to be a god and eater of worlds. Because he's no longer is, because he's trapped in Derry. That's the thing. So you can say the fact of he is full of ego, he's full of sadness because he's no longer a god. He's just sort of a lord of this little world, but he doesn't want to be here anymore, so he's stuck. That's why he's in that perpetual loop constantly of being defeated. So he's going back and trying to kill the bloodline to kind of do what Final Destination Bloodlines is doing by
John Connor.
Basically, yeah, he's going back and trying to kill the whole bloodline.
Well, and again, brilliant. We didn't know about that. And again, the film's better than me, man. We didn't know about that until this show, right? It was when we have that big scene at the end of the show.
It was always hinted at in it. If you read the books, it's always hinting at that there's something about Pennywise that he's omnipresent. And in other Stephen King books, Pennywise does get mentioned or he does appear in little bits. So there's always that hint of that he never actually properly died, that he's always there. But this confirms it, that he's omnipresent.
He sees time in a different way. Was that line when he says, he holds up he's got Margie, isn't it, on the floor, and he holds up the picture of Richie, which is Finn Wolfhard from the film.
She really hated it.
That's a cool reveal as well, that she was like one of the
little boy,
Tozier. And it's just like, your was it the stinking filth of your loins will be my death, or was it my birth? And I was like, oh shit, that was like that's clever. Again, like you say, the fleshing out of the mythology was so good. And I really liked the army stuff as well, which I wasn't... At the start, I wasn't as much a fan, but as it went on, I was like, you guys are douchebags. You can't contain this kind of power.
I think when you get what they're doing, like what they're actually doing there, and what they're trying to get, like the whole purpose of them being there in the first place, I'm like, oh, okay. Because at the beginning, I was like, oh, every time it sort of cut back to the army storyline. I was like,
Yeah.
kind of
First few
get back to
episodes, same.
get back to the kids, or like get back to, because it was more interesting. But then as it progressed, the army storyline did get a little bit more interesting, and you got Leroy Hanlon
Yeah.
or Hank, or is it Hank?
Is it Leroy?
Anyway, the Hanlon. He was a Hanlon. Anyway,
Yeah. who is Mike's granddad, who does appear
Yes.
in chapter 1.
Yes, he's the sheep killer or the goat killer. Sheep killer.
Yeah.
One of my other favourite things about this show, and again, that cliffhanger ending we had at the Duke joint when all the knobheads walked in, and that just cut to black.
I knew it was coming because I read it in the book, but I was still shocked to see it with my eyes.
And then, like you say, we get the second best Duke joint scene of the year after Sinners.
I didn't think this show would make me cry. I cried at Welcome to Derry with Marge and Rick.
Oh,
Oh, it
Rich.
was sad.
Rich,
Yeah.
I was like, no, not too much, because I hated Marge. I wanted her to die. She quickly went from zero to hero to me, and especially Richard. I love Rich. And then when he sacrificed himself, I'm like, no. And I'm waiting there for him to talk to her, and all of a sudden Pennywise to grab his leg and pull him away. I like how they let him just die naturally.
And then the bit at the end, though, with the hand on the shoulders.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, so good. And his fingers up as he walks.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I love that bit. That's in my what the fuck, where
He
he's
says
where
nothing
he's
but
just,
it's about like,
yeah. When he's running and he's
the
just
look of
flipping off.
Pennywise's face of disgust of like, this kid.
Fucking loved that bit. That was such. I audibly cheered
Yeah.
when that happened. Where he's like,
That
"Fuck you"
was
to
my Stranger
Pennywise.
Things moment. Everybody was like, what's going on in Stranger Things? That was my Stranger Things moment. That was like, I don't need fucking 5 years, five seasons of a show. I just need one good season with good characters and good writing. And that moment, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, one of the things we mentioned a little bit earlier was all the references to the King, the wider Kingverse.
Mm.
And I had a little trawl through the internet, and I found some that are maybe good, probably some most you probably know, and a few that I just ignored because they weren't that good, and they were clearly just scrabbling around for facts that weren't facts. Obviously, other than everyone in the town being related to family members of the later films, which is the obvious ones, someone who literally listed all of them was like, yeah, we don't need to know all that. That's obvious. We know these are all the relations and the parents and the grandparents of the characters that we're going to meet later on. That's not an Easter egg. That's obvious. But Maturin, the turtle, the cosmic being that is the opposite of its evil, again, very hard to portray on screen, and I don't believe it has really been portrayed on screen before. But it was a nice Easter egg where you've got Bert the turtle being the school's mascot. And there's, again, quite a lot of turtle motifs you see throughout it, different places. There's a bit of graffiti on one of the toilet walls where it says Alvin Marsh in the girls' bathroom. Of course, he would go on to be Beb's abusive father in the films. Clayface comic being read. Clayface, like Pennywise, is a shapeshifter. And, of course, Clayface film being written by Mike Flanagan, who currently holds the reins to most of the King adaptations on screen. So that was a nice little mention or shout out to Flanagan there, I thought. The billboard mentioning the upcoming Paul Bunyan statue in Derry coming soon, because again, we know that comes up in the films. Mike loves Christine. Well, King's 83 novel, Christine the car, right? But I was like, does that imply Mike Flanagan loves the book as well? Is he implying that Mike Flanagan might have something to do with Christine? I almost wonder whether Flanagan's kind of going to become like this uber producer of the Kingverse and like picks young talent to be the directors, because he can't do everything, because it's his job now to do the Dark Tower properly. So I'm imagining have him in charge, create this Kingverse, and have Flanagan as like the Kevin Feige of the Kingverse. Director Andy Machete's got a couple of cameos in it. He turns up in episode 3 as the creepy piano player in the tent. Get multiple mentions of course, Shawshank Prison. The Jade of the Orient Chinese restaurant is seen in episode 4, which of course we have that horrific meal in the films. Episode 5 in the sewer scene with Halloran, he's in a memory where he and his grandmother are terrorised by their grandfather. And it's only in Doctor's sleep that we learn his grandfather abused him as a child. And you get that manifestation of that nightmare in this show. So again, that's not even from The Shine. You were getting bits of Doctor's sleep lore actually on screen in this show, which was really cool. When we jump forward at the end of the shows, when we see Pennywise's daughter Ingrid, she's now played by Joan Gregson, who played her in the films. And this was her last ever on-screen performance, the actress who played her. That was like, but what a killer line to go out with, is your last ever performance as well.
Not everybody dies in Derry.
That's it.
Nobody
ever really dies in Derry.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, and then you get the big cameo, which is you see Sophia Lillis standing up as a young Bev as well, and seeing the scene with, I believe it's her mother, who's just hung herself. Yeah. I mean, any other things on the good before we move on to the bad, which I don't think is going to be that
No,
much.
like I said, there's a lot of good, to be
There's
honest.
a lot of good. A lot of it's in the what the fuck, though.
Yeah.
A lot
Fair
of the
enough.
good's in the what the fuck.
Right, okay, well, let's move on to the bad then. And I'm going to start here. I struggled with the concept of why even make this show, because the original book's timeline was set in the 50s and then in the present day in the mid 80s. Then when the new films come out, they updated this to the 80s as the past and the modern day for the present. So to me, telling another It story set in the 1960s just confused the timelines for me, because it felt at first like I was just watching the 50s chapters from the book. And I was like, but it really got messy for me watching it. And I got to admit, those first couple of episodes, it didn't hook me at all. It wasn't like appointment viewing. It wasn't like, oh, I need to watch this every week as soon as it's on. I watched the first one and I was just so like, I don't know. Well, ironically,
I messaged you, didn't I, after
Yeah,
episode 7? And I was just like, dude, have you watched episode 7? And you hadn't. And you were like on episode 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah. And then when I was sick in, I think it was like November, I had like flu for about a month. And I was just binging my way through stuff. And then I finally went back to it. And then it got good, David. And then it got better, David. Then it got good. And then it got really good. And then the last 2 episodes, as like Luke said, were better than the films. So I was just like, then I was waiting for that last episode. I think by the time I'd binged back up to it, there was only 1 episode left to come out. And I was like, I mean, I like what they did in the first episode. So let's talk about the first episode where you meet the kids and then they murder almost all of them.
So that's a big what the fuck, though.
That was so good. With such a red herring.
Right, okay, well, you can talk about that.
All of the marketing material, everything is with those original children. Like the other kids aren't even in it. Like any marketing material, anything to do with the show, they're nowhere to be seen.
When I was watching that first episode, all the stuff with the kids, I was just kind of like, I've seen this before, or I've read it before in the books. It didn't grab me. So of course, knowing that they were then going to murder them all horribly. But what put me off it, and I think stopped me watching it for a little bit, was going on social media after I'd seen that episode. Everyone, including people who worked on the show, so overhyped the ending. They seemed so smug about, oh yeah, well there was I think an article on Variety or Entertainment Weekly, and it was like, oh yeah, this was our own red wedding. Guys, don't be so smug about it. Okay, like they were crowing about it more than the internet was. I was like, I wouldn't compare that to the red wedding because we didn't know any of these people, so we didn't care about them really.
The only 2 bads really I've got. One is the military. The whole military arc. I liked it at first, but when I realised what they wanted to do, I completely was like, I don't care because it's a stupid idea.
I was the opposite.
Yeah.
I was the exact opposite of that. I didn't care at the beginning about them at all. Like, I liked the mystery element of it, like, what's going on. But then when the mystery was revealed, I was more into it. I felt more connected to what they were trying to do. Because beforehand, I was just trying to work out what it like. Are they just trying to find Pennywise?
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's a fucking dumb idea.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
I was waiting for the moment because they were like, oh, we found him. He's in the sewers. And when they set men in, I was just like, this is brilliant because we're going to see a lot of American soldiers get killed. It's going to be great. And again, they do. And he comes in as like, I need that Sam on the guy on the poster. We need you, and he kills them all. Like, that's brilliant. But like when you realise, oh, actually they want to open the cage door and let him out, you're thinking, why? And then when they explain it, I'm like, that's a stupid idea.
There's a lot, I mean, that is a bit silly.
And I'm like, oh, imagine if we had this guy in now. I'm like, yeah, it would have been terrible. You all would have died.
I was just going to say, I had another thing on the good, which is I liked seeing the mind trick that Halloran told Danny. I put them in a little box and then hide them in your mind. And then you see that, and then how they all spring out. And it's quite scary how they're all just everywhere. People. Yeah, just dead people everywhere.
Also, I thought in some of the earlier episodes, the CGI was pretty ropey looking. Like, I thought the cemetery chase on the bikes was really bad.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
It was very goosebumpsy, wasn't it? Yeah. It wasn't scary. It was like, this isn't scary. It's a bit stupid.
I think I mentioned that. I texted that to you as well, didn't I, Neil? That it felt like a Goosebumps episode. I think I said those exact words. It was, it did feel very, like, cheesy, not scary.
And maybe not necessarily an out-and-out bad for me, but just because of the similarity, and I don't think either of you guys have seen this yet, but the whole thing with the dead killer on the ice, is literally the last scene of the Black Phone 2.
I
not seen
And
Black
it
Phone
looks
2 yet.
so similar. And obviously, I don't think they planned both to be out at the same time. But so when I was watching like Pennywise like swishing away on the ice going past them, I was like, I've just seen this exact scene in Black Phone 2. And like I think he even had like the similar weapon or something like that. And I was just like, so it kind of lost a little bit of his impact for me because I was like, I've just seen this. And like, yeah, sure, both things can exist and be cool. But I was like, oh.
I also was like, what's with all the dead fetuses? What's with all this? Like, what's with all the dead babies? Like, he kept popping up, and I'm like, okay, we've seen this multiple times now. Like in the first episode, it was scary, brilliant, okay, but then you keep seeing it. Yeah,
I thought that the winged fetus baby demon was just laughably bad. Like,
yeah.
and it didn't make me like. That's what surprised me when it's that killed all the kids. I was like,
it was cool that when they killed I'd take what that did was it raised the stakes for our current kids because
yeah.
you know they fail ultimately because we know the linear timeline of it, so we know that these kids fail. So I was kind of expecting all of the kids to almost die off throughout the show or die at the end. I didn't actually expect any of them to be there still.
I felt a bit demented a little bit because I watched a few episodes with my mum, and I kept looking at my mum being like, just look at the kids in the background, the kids that look tired, that haven't been asleep, they're the ones that have been tormented. So I was looking for kids in the background who look tired, who's like, oh, hey, because obviously he's not just picking on these kids, obviously he's doing all the kids. Obviously I didn't notice any, but that would have been a great detail. Like in the background of scenes, you see kids that are yawning, really, really tired. You can tell that they're not getting sleep, that they look a bit wired, a bit tired.
That would have been cool.
Again, I'm not saying that happens because I didn't see any, but that would have been a great bit of detail of us like, oh, that kid looks tired. Oh, that kid's getting tormented by Pennywise, and that would, for me, would have made the idea of Pennywise being ever sort of present, attacking everybody at once, a more terrifying moment. Not just, oh, he's just focusing on these losers or these kids. But yeah, them going the whole sort of red wedding thing was a bit, I wasn't great.
Saying that it was the Red Wedding is a bit much. It was a really cool ending.
Yeah, it was a shock.
The first
I didn't
episode.
see it coming at all.
Really cool ending because of, like I said, how they marketed it all, the trailer, everything. It was like, okay, these are our kids that we're following.
And they didn't go the Thunderbolts route either, where Thunderbolts was like, oh, it's the new Avengers, and then the week later it's like all the advertising is changed. It's like no. They kept the same posters with the same kids the whole time until the show ended.
So if you go on Now TV now to put it on, and even if you're watching the last episode, it is still that poster of the kids from the first episode. And I went to my wife who didn't watch it. And I was like, 3 of these kids die in the first episode.
She's like, thanks, David. I'm not going to watch it now.
Especially the little one.
Yeah, the little girl. She loses an arm, and he lets her bleed out. It's sick, but I'm going to keep watching.
Now, I have a feeling, David, our what the fucks are going to be the same, but for different reasons.
I have a very personal what the fuck, which is definitely not going to be on your one.
Probably not. Does it involve a naked lady in a bath?
It does not, no.
Okay.
It involves the main girl. What was the character's name of the main girl?
Oh, Lily Cranbridge.
Lily. So the actress that played her and the character, so her character and the actor Clara Stack.
Yeah.
With her fringe. Yeah.
I know where you're going with
is my wife as a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
It was fucking freaked me out in the first episode.
It is like she looks. There's a clown in the background.
she looks like my wife with her fringe.
You didn't go full bore out while you're watching it. My wife.
Every time I was like, every time she was on the screen, I was just like, oh, it's weird, man. Like for the first few episodes, I got used to it eventually. But I'll have to find a photograph of her where she's got this fringe, and it's just like it's the same person. Like my wife doesn't seem to think so, but I can see it. Anyway, that was my very personal one.
Very definitely, yeah. I would say that for most people, the what the fuck moments are these incredible scenes of horror that they do, and like the nightmare sequences. But for me, I didn't like many of them. I thought they were cheesy. I thought they were laughable. Like I wasn't scared or terrified with any of these scenes. I was just sitting there going, oh yeah, it's that time in the episode where they have to do something gross out or bloody because people expect it. And the story doesn't need that. And to be fair, as the show went on, it did less of it. And so it almost felt like it was fan service. Like, I mean, the pickle guy, man, what the fuck? Like the Bat Baby, I like. Couldn't it have been something much more cool? Killing all those kids at the start. It's a baby with wings, really. At the end of the day, it's a baby with wings.
No, I will agree. Like the CGI wasn't great with it, but they kept using it. Even I think to like the last episode, it was like there, and I'm like, okay, this is good. But then it was no. But then like another what the fuck was like when what was her name now?
Ronnie,
yeah. She's in a bed, and all of a sudden she puts a quilt over her, and she's inside, and her mom's giving birth to her, and then gives birth.
Oh,
to
that was
again.
crazy.
And it was crazy. It was very wonderful, but it was still one of the fact of like, what after like 2 episodes, we've got so much baby stuff going on. I'm like, why? You know, it's a bit of a what the fuck, but also probably bad as well. But yeah, I liked the kills. The most what the fuck moments for me though were the black and white moments.
I was going to say the same thing.
A whole episode or the whole season in black and white, and I really hope they do. If they go back to like 1908, they do whole black and white, because just having Pennywise in black and white, but just having the balloon in colour and his eyes, and then the blood red, and everything else is in black and white.
It felt quite like Sin City almost.
Yeah,
with
it
the
felt
colour
arty.
pops. Yeah,
or like the horror version, the even more horror version of Schindler's List.
Yeah,
with the little girl with the red.
Yeah, with the colour pop.
When Pennywise is like not Pennywise, but when Bob's daughter brings her down, he goes, "Don't worry, darling, nothing to worry about." And then he's there. You see the silhouette in the bloom, all smoke, and he appears. He's like, "Oh, you brought a friend," and then looks at her, and then realizes he has a little laugh to himself because he realizes who that is, and he could use her to his advantage, but then still kills the little girl anyway. I just don't like the bit where he goes, "It's just open the door and we'll be okay." Me thinking, okay, he's gonna open the door and kill her. We didn't get to see that scene where like she has that moment with her dad, because that could have been the moment where he's like, "I need you to do something for me. You know, I need you to bring the kids," or something like that. And again, we do see it because it does explain it in scenes, being like, oh, every time she saw a balloon, she knew her dad was going to be there, so she basically took the kid, and she's been feeding him to see him, which I love. But I just wish there was an extra scene of us like, "Come here, open the door. It's fine."
Well, like you said, there was that great scene actually, even though it's not in a bad order, what the fuck, but it's probably in a good. The bit where Periwinkle, when she realises, it's not her dad, it's just.
Me and David was talking about this,
that's it. What a scene!
Do the bow, and then when he hugs her, and I'm like, "Don't hug him, he'll kill you." And then she hugs him, and then you can see on his face he has this look of like he's licking his lips, like he wants to eat her. He has to stop himself from eating her, and then he goes, "You did good. I'm going away now." And she's like, "No, don't go away." And I'm like, "Yes, leave him. Let him go." And then the audacity, the shock on his face when she grabs him and he looks at her like, "Bitch, I just give you a whole pass." What? What more do you want? And then she's like, "What'd you do to him?" He goes, "Oh, I ate him." You don't recognise me?
That is the line of the episode right there, Luke. "Bitch, I gave you a hall pass."
You know what I mean? It's like, I allowed you to live. Now I'm going to give you the deadlights. Again, another talking about deadlights is when he's got all the kids on the last episode and he's singing to them. He's using the headmaster as a puppet, which reminds me so much of Dead Silence. If you've never seen Dead Silence, but and then all of a sudden he throws away, kicks the head, literally boots the head, does his dance, and then I saw somebody do an edit where the bit where he does the little song and then he does the deadlights and all that. Somebody put rock music to that. How like when he goes deadlights, whoa, and he goes, it's like Doom, and you're like, this is just gone from 10 to a million. And then he like Pied Piper, he's playing his little thing, and the kids are going, I'm like, this is good.
I saw a really good one where a fan edit where it went from when he does the deadlights and it's to Vecna in Stranger Things.
Yeah,
and that was really good as well.
But there were so many what the fuck moments in this, but like the what the fucks were like you were just in shock of like, this is brilliant, this is fantastic, this is what I wanted from it, chapter 1, chapter 2, that we didn't really get, and now that we got them, it's just like, even the moments where it's like Shawshank Redemption, I was like, oh my god, what the fuck, Shawshank, you don't
want to end up in Shawshank. No.
Juniper Hill, or
Juniper Hill. Yeah. The whole idea of like, I'm sitting there going, that one kid's getting beaten up and none of the adults are looking. Then you got that one lady, she's like, why is nobody saying anything? Even I was sitting there, I got uncomfortable in that scene. I was like, yeah, why is nobody doing anything? And then you realise, oh shit, the reason they don't do anything is because Pennywise has such a control of the town that he feeds off them being cruel. So the adults just ignore whatever he's doing, which is violence to kids. So you're like, oh, that's why when people are beating other kids up in the streets, no one says anything, because they're not allowed to, because they don't see it. They're blind to it. Don't look at the man behind the curtain, sort of thing.
The big reveal we obviously had in the very the end is it says, "Welcome to Derry, Chapter 1," which implies then we're getting a Chapter 2. And Finn Wolfhard has basically let the cat out of the bag that he goes, "Oh yeah, I might be doing something with Welcome to Derry."
I don't know how that would work, but I'm here for it.
I mean, if the time can be whatever it is, you could have anyone in it. You could go forward and have the adult cast in it. You could go have the original cast from you could have the kids in it. I mean, there's so many ways they could go with it. It just depends where they want to go with it. You don't. It doesn't necessarily have to all be in the past. Me and David, I think we mentioned this on years ago when we were doing a cosmic horror episode. We was talking about Event Horizon. You seen Event Horizon, Luke?
Good movie, yeah.
We were floating ideas for like a possible sequel to that, and I was like, and everyone wants the prequel where you see what happened to the ship the first time he goes to this hell dimension. Well, no, you could do both shows at the same time. Do a new team being sent out to go and get the Event Horizon back and encounter, you could literally start it right after the end of the film and have them picking up the rescue ship with Sam Neill and Jodie Richardson's character in it. But at the same time, because it's TV, if you did it as a TV series, you can do the original ship going out there and then cross-cut it with what's happening after the film. So you can have a prequel sequel series, which would be amazing because that's not been done, where you're filling in the blanks but with new information, but then also telling a continuation at the same time. I think I'd love to see someone, and you could do that with it. You could do that with Welcome to Derry. You could go forward after the films, which would be a massive jump.
What if the series of Welcome to Derry is Pennywise after Chapter 2 trying to basically stop what's happening, his death?
Yeah.
So what if that's what he's trying to do? It's like he's finally got to his death, realized, shit, I died. So because he's omnipresent, he tries to go back in time, like Back to the Future. Weird, isn't it? Tries to go back
to the future with Pennywise
to kill Marge, to stop Richie being born, so the losers don't defeat him. And then he realized, oh, I can escape. So that's why I said when he says later losers, he's not just saying it to the kids. He's on about losers club in general. Like I'm free out of this loop. So what if that's how Finn Wolfhard could come back? As how you said, you can have jumps to the future of the future being changed because he's changed something in the past. That could be good.
That would be awesome.
Isn't that what Marge refers to a little bit as well in the ending when they're having their little talk in the lighthouse?
Yeah,
is it a lighthouse? And doesn't she say something like, she's worried that he's going to go for her parents back when they were my age?
Yeah,
and Lily's like, well, that's their fight. It's not. So that's like exactly that. Like he's retconning. He's changing the past. He's changing it.
Because what the adults don't remember anyway. But yeah.
So we all agree that. I think you guys were much more higher on it than me from day one. Like, whereas I was a bit more on it at the start, and then it got better. Then it got better. Then it got really good, and then, like I said, the last 2 episodes were better than the movies.
If we'd have finished this, it would have been in my top 10 shows of the year.
Same, yeah.
For sure.
It would have made our overall list, mate. It would have made the top 10 overall. We would have dropped out Alien Earth or something like that for it.
It was the biggest surprise of like, I was, again, being a fan of it and Stephen King, I was excited for it, but I had my apprehension because I was like, well, it might not be as good. Like, try not to go in too hopeful. And then with that first episode and all the kids dying and the shock, and then going on to the next 2 episodes that weren't as great, but still had me hooked. So then when Bill Skarsgård came back, and you see the parts with Bob Gray and the Dick Halloran parts and the Native American parts, and as the story went on, I was just like, this is really good. And like, I would have been lost if I hadn't had Fallout to watch after this, because I needed something to watch after this show. I was like, I need something. So I was lucky that
a little bit lighter, maybe.
Yeah, lighter, but I was able to jump from one thing to the next, and I'll watch that now. I think it finishes in February. Yeah, there are many parts. Like, right now, I'm just thinking the moments where like Pennywise, he's done. He's done. He's had his big moment. All the people at the Black Spot have died. He's killed them all. He goes to sleep, and then the military fuck up, and then he wakes up and he's pissed. And I'm like, shit. We've never seen him like this before. And like, I love the design where he's like half covered in blood, red, up to there, and he's on the phone with him, and he jumps up and grabs him, and I'm like, so good. And it's just, yeah, it's so good, brilliant, brilliant. I love it.
And from the sound of things, I think we're much more excited about where the season 2 of this is going to go as well now, because they have a chance to do something truly amazing.
Yeah, they're in the night. I think 1938. I think is where the next one's set, and that's meant to have like the gangsters, the big gang fight. Because I've read the book, I know how that ends. Again, like I knew how the Black Spot situation was going to end. I remember the episode. I said my mum was like, "Mum, this one's going to be brutal, so get ready." And it was, and I cried at the end. I feel like now, if that theory is correct, if he's trying to go back in time and change the past, will they change things now? Where it's like me as a fan who's read the book, who knows what's coming, is going to be like, "Oh no, he's changed." Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see where they go. Basically, as we say with Kevin Feige,
have they mentioned how many seasons they're planning of this show?
I think they're doing in total. I think it's 3 seasons, so each one's going to be different now. So I think it's going to end in 1908. I think is the final one.
So when we first see Bob Gray become Pennywise, what year was that set in?
1908, I think. Because
right,
you had
so
the little boy. Yeah, you had the little boy.
Okay.
Going, oh, the kids are drawn to you. Why?
So you do go back to the initial creation of Penny. So it's right back to the start of Pennywise. Okay.
Yeah. So there's potential to see more Pennywinkle, more that lady.
Madeline Stowe, who I hadn't seen for years in anything, and she's also really good.
She still looks the same as she did back in the 90s. To be honest, she hasn't changed.
Right. Well, I believe that about rounds us up here in our trip to the fucking disturbing Derry.
I wouldn't even go there for even I knew the way. I had a friend who used to live there, and I asked them the question of like, are they proud of knowing that their whole town is known for this story? And she goes, oh yeah, they love it. They have Stephen King in It tours. You can go to all the different places that inspired the book.
Imagine Halloween there. Everyone's just dressed up as clowns and red balloons floating everywhere.
Hanging out of. It's completely normal there. They love it. It's a big thing. Like they really celebrate. And I'm like, just imagine living in a town where this is what you're mostly known for, and just going, you know what, fuck it, just embracing it. I love it.
I feel like I've been to Maine once for one day.
Good thing you left before all the craziest things started to happen.
When we docked in Boston once, we were near Salem, and it was near Halloween, so I got to go to Salem on Halloween and go to the Salem Witch Museum.
Oh,
but they wouldn't let me in with the camera to film. And I only had like an hour, and I had to film something. So, and the weather was crap. It was like really stormy and horrible. So I went to a local park and just filmed scenery and like the odd Halloween decoration in the trees. But I literally got that bored that I focused on squirrels for about 20 minutes. And but they looked like, so I just made an edit of like demonic squirrels looking like jumping like horror music over it. Oh, and then they had the graves of people who were hanged as witches. So that was good. All right. Well, that's us done for this week's episode of the We Need a Rose podcast. I'd like to thank my guests here today. Luke, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me on the socials on Twitter at howtobeans_pod. You can find me on Spotify, again, howtobeans_pod. And you can find me on YouTube at the How to Beans podcast. And I'm on TikTok now as well. Again, How to Beans podcast.
Nice. Very easy to remember. David, where can people find you floating down storm drains?
You can check me out on the gram at We Needed Roads, and you can also check me out on Blue Sky at long.d. Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm. And if you want more We Needed Roads nonsense, you can find us everywhere. We're on Twitter at Needed Roads. We're on Instagram and TikTok at We Needed Roads Podcast. And you can follow me personally at Neil_Gregory78 on Instagram and Threads, where it's generally podcast posts and pictures and videos from gigs and the cinema. We Need a Roads is available on all major podcast platforms, and we'd love it if you subscribe to us on YouTube and gave us a follow on Spotify, where you can see the full video episodes as well as hear us. And don't forget, once you've followed, subscribed, let us know what you thought of It, Welcome to Derry, and what you thought of our takes on the show. We've been We Needed Roads, and we'll be back before you can say, the seed of your stinking lines in his filthy friends bring me my death. Or is it birth? I get confused. Tomorrow, yesterday, it's all the same for little Pennywise.
I'm going away now.
We Needed Roads.
What are you looking at, butthead?
How does he do the dance?
Oh, it's you have to push down with your hands like that, and then your legs go up like that.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, so you pump down, but your legs go like that.
Hang on. Pump down, beyond.
So like that. So as you go down, that's it. Brilliant. Now do the bow.
That felt good.